Three gods of death walk into a bar. Hades orders a pomegranate cocktail, sits in the darkest corner, and quietly judges everyone. Anubis orders nothing. He's working. He's got a scale, a feather, and a clipboard. He's taking this very seriously. Hel orders a drink that's half frozen, half on fire, and stares at the bartender with an expression that says, "I know exactly when you're going to die." And it's not impressive. Every major mythology has a god of death, but they are not all the same. Some rule with cold fairness, some with terrifying precision, and some were literally thrown into the job because their own family was too scared of what they might become. So today, we're asking the question nobody dares to ask out loud in the underworld. Who actually ran the afterlife better? We're putting Hades, Anubis, and Hel head to head, judging them on fairness, efficiency, style, and just how badly you'd want to avoid their realm. By the end, only one will stand as the undisputed CEO of the afterlife. Let's start with the most misunderstood god on this list. Possibly the most misunderstood god in any mythology, ever. Hades, king of the Greek Underworld, brother of Zeus and Poseidon. And if you've seen the Disney movie Hercules, I need you to forget everything you think you know. Hades was not a villain. He was not Satan. He was not trying to overthrow Zeus. He was just a guy doing a job nobody else wanted. Here's the actual story. After the gods defeated the Titans, the three brothers, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, drew lots to divide the cosmos. Zeus got the sky, Poseidon got the sea, Hades got the underworld, the place nobody visited voluntarily, the realm of the dead. And instead of complaining, Hades just went down there and did his job for eternity. While his brothers partied on Olympus, threw lightning bolts at mortals, and generally caused chaos, Hades was underground, managing an infinite bureaucracy of dead souls. He was so dedicated to his work that he almost never came to Olympus. He only left the underworld a handful of times in all of mythology, most famously to abduct Persephone, which, okay, not his finest moment. But even that, depending on which version you read, evolved into one of the more functional divine marriages. Hades' underworld was a tripartite system: the Asphodel Meadows for ordinary souls, the Elysian Fields for heroes and the virtuous, and Tartarus for the truly wicked. It was organized, it was hierarchical, it had rules, and Hades enforced them with grim consistency. The Greeks were so scared of Hades that they barely spoke his name. Temples to Hades are almost non-existent. People prayed to him by pounding the ground and looking away. But here's the thing. Hades was arguably the least problematic Olympian. He didn't cheat on his wife. One wife, which is unheard of for Greek gods. He didn't murder mortals for fun. He didn't cause wars. He just ran the afterlife. Now we go south to Egypt, where death was not a grim tragedy, but a cosmic procedure with very specific, very detailed instructions. And at the center of it, Anubis. First, the look. Jackal-headed man, black skin. Not because he's dark and spooky, but because black was the color of the fertile Nile soil, of regeneration, of life after death. Anubis was not a figure of fear. He was a figure of process. Anubis's job was the most hands-on of any death deity. He didn't just rule the dead, he prepared them. He invented mummification. He embalmed Osiris himself, the first mummy. He guarded tombs, protected the deceased, and most importantly, he conducted the weighing of the heart. This is the most iconic moment in Egyptian mythology, and it deserves a pause. When you died, Anubis would escort your soul to the Hall of Truth. He'd place your heart on one side of a divine scale. On the other side, the feather of Ma'at, the feather of truth, justice, and cosmic order. If your heart was lighter than the feather, meaning you lived a righteous life, congratulations! You got to enter the field of reeds, the Egyptian paradise. If your heart was heavier, Ammit, the devourer, a creature with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, would eat your heart, and you would cease to exist. Not eternal torture, just gone. This was not a system of forgiveness. There was no "I'm sorry." There was no redemption arc. There was the scale, the feather, and the cold mathematical truth of your life. Anubis was the referee, not the judge. That was Osiris. But Anubis ran the test. His hands were on the scale. His judgment was absolute. Anubis is one of the oldest, continuously worshipped gods in human history. Archaeologists find his image on tomb walls dating back to 3100 BCE. That's over 5,000 years. And here's what makes him different from almost every other death god. He was beloved. He was a comfort figure. Egyptians wanted Anubis at their funeral. They wanted him on their tomb. His presence didn't mean terror. It meant a fair test. And now, we go north, to the frozen, bleak, deeply uncomfortable realm of Norse mythology, where death is cold, the afterlife is colder, and the queen who runs it all is a teenage girl from a deeply dysfunctional family. Hel is the daughter of Loki. Yes, that Loki, the trickster god who once turned into a horse, and we're not getting into that. Her mother is the giantess Angerboda. Her brothers are Fenrir, the wolf destined to kill Odin, and Jormungandr, the world serpent destined to kill Thor. This is not a family you invite to dinner. When the gods learned about these three children, they panicked. Prophecies said they'd play a role in Ragnarok, the end of all things. So Odin took action. He threw Jormungandr into the ocean. He chained Fenrir to a rock. And Hel, he gave her an entire realm and told her to run it. But here's the catch. He sent her to Niflheim, the frozen, misty realm of the dead. And he gave her authority, but only over the dead who didn't die in battle. Warriors went to Valhalla or Folkvanger. The sick, the old, those who died peacefully or tragically, they all went to Hel. Which means Hel's realm got the vast majority of humanity. Hel is described as a figure cut down the middle, one half living flesh, one half corpse, half beautiful, half horrifying. Her hall is called El Judnir, damp with rain. Her plate is called hunger. Her knife is called famine. Her bed is called sickbed. Her servants are slow walker and slow stopper. Norse mythology does not do subtle. And yet, Hel is not evil. When Balder, the most beloved of the gods, is killed and sent to her realm, the gods send an emissary to beg for his return. Hel agrees. She says yes, on one condition. Every single thing in the cosmos must weep for Balder. Everything does. Everything except one giantess, who is almost certainly Loki in disguise. And so, Balder stays dead. The important thing about Hel is that she keeps her word. She has rules, she enforces them. And unlike her brothers, who are bound and imprisoned, Hel actually does her job, and does it well enough that the gods never try to remove her.
All right, we've met the candidates. Now let's judge them. 5 categories. Winner in each gets a point. Most points wins. How fair is their system? How corrupt? Can you cheat it?
Hades Underworld. 3-tier system based on your life. Hero, Elysium. Average person, Asphodel. Truly wicked, Tartarus. The system is clear, but here's the problem. It's not exactly objective. Gods and demigods get automatic upgrades. Regular mortals get the default. It's a class system disguised as judgment. Anubis, the scale, the feather, your heart weighed against truth itself. This is the most objectively fair system in any mythology. It doesn't matter who your parents were. It doesn't matter what offerings you made. It's you, just you, and the weight of your actions. The scale doesn't lie.
Her judgment is unclear. We don't have a lot of detail about how Hel decides what happens to the souls she receives. Some sources say she treated the good kindly and threw the wicked into the frozen depths. But there's no formal trial, no scale, no system we can examine. It seems personal, subjective. And a system that depends on the mood of a half-dead teenage goddess is not a system I bet my eternal soul on. Winner, Anubis. The scale doesn't care who you are. The feather weighs the same for everyone. If you have to spend eternity somewhere, where are you actually going? Hades' underworld? It's all 3 things at once. Elysium is a paradise of soft meadows, music, and eternal spring. Asphodel is a gray, featureless plain where souls drift like shadows with no memory. Tartarus is an abyss of fire and torment where the titans are imprisoned. So your experience varies wildly. At least there's variety.
Anubis's Field of Reeds? This is the afterlife done right. The Field of Reeds is literally just Egypt, but perfect. Same rivers, same crops, same home, but everything is beautiful, abundant, and peaceful. You live, you farm, you fish, you see your family. It's not a reward of gold and jewels. It's a reward of more life. Perfect, peaceful, eternal life. Honestly, underrated afterlife.
Hel's Niflheim. Oh boy, it's cold, it's damp, it's dark. Your plate is called hunger. Your bed is called sick bed. The gates are guarded by a blood-stained hound named Garm, and the goddess herself is literally half corpse. This is not a vacation destination. It's not even a decent hostel. It's the afterlife equivalent of a basement apartment in a building that's about to be condemned. During Ragnarok. Winner, Anubis. The Field of Reeds is the only afterlife on this list that actually sounds pleasant. Who actually has the most juice? Hades, god-level power, equal to Zeus and Poseidon, controls the entire realm of the dead, plus all the wealth and precious metals under the earth. Has a helmet of invisibility, commands Cerberus, the Furies, the Fates. When Hades says something, it happens. He is arguably the 3rd most powerful being in Greek mythology. Anubis. Here's where it gets tricky. Anubis is powerful, but he's not the boss. Osiris is the king of the Egyptian underworld. Anubis works for him. He's the embalmer, the guide, the scale operator. Critical job, essential job, but not the top job.
He was actually the original Lord of the Dead, but got demoted when Osiris's cult rose to prominence around 2000 BCE. Yes, Anubis got middle managed.
Hel, absolute power within her domain. She has final say over every soul that enters. Even Odin can't overrule her. When Baldur died, the All-Father himself had to send an emissary to Hel and ask nicely. And when she set a condition, Odin couldn't bypass it. That's real authority. She's also prophesied to lead an army of the dead during Ragnarok. That's not just management, that's military command. Winner? Hades. Raw power, control over an entire cosmic domain, and he shares a power tier with the king of the gods.
How scared were ancient people of this god? Hades. Terrified. The Greeks wouldn't even say his name. They called him Pluton, the wealthy one, as a euphemism. They averted their eyes when sacrificing to him. Temples to Hades are almost non-existent because nobody wanted to draw his attention. This is a god so feared that his name became a taboo word.
Anubis. Not feared, respected, loved even. Egyptians put Anubis statues in their tombs for protection. You wanted Anubis to find your body. You wanted him at your judgment. Anubis was not a figure of horror. He was the one who made sure everything went correctly.
Existential dread. Hel isn't feared in the monster under your bed sense. She's feared in the reminder that you're gonna die sick and old and end up in a frozen hall with a plate called hunger sense. The Norse didn't actively worship Hel. They didn't build temples to her. They just accepted her, which is somehow worse. Not even fear, just grim, cold resignation. Winner? Hades. When people won't say your name and build 0 temples to you, you've achieved maximum fear factor. Here's the real question. Who actually did their job best? Hades. Never left his post, ran a 3-tier system, dealt with infinite dead souls, handled escape attempts, Sisyphus, anyone? Dealt with Orpheus coming down to retrieve his wife, and technically kept his word, even when Orpheus failed. Dealt with Heracles showing up to borrow Cerberus, never complained, never tried to switch realms with Zeus, did his job for eternity with grim, silent competence.
Anubis invented mummification, guarded tombs, protected the dead, escorted souls, weighed hearts. Did this for over 3,000 years. Every single Egyptian who ever died, rich or poor, pharaoh or farmer, passed through his process. That's billions of souls, and we have 0 records of Anubis making a mistake. Hel took a job she was forced into, built a realm, guarded the dead, kept her word to the gods. When Baldur arrived, the most beautiful, beloved being in existence, she housed him in a golden hall befitting his status. She treated the dead with the dignity they deserved. And when the gods asked her to return him, she gave them a fair condition. She did her job, by the rules, with no complaints about the hand she was dealt.
This one is genuinely close, but I'm giving it to winner, Anubis. 3 millennia, billions of souls, 0 complaints, 0 errors. The most reliable employee in mythological history.
The scores? Anubis takes it. And honestly, he deserves it. But here's the thing. Rankings are fun, but they miss the point. These 3 gods represent 3 completely different relationships with death.
The scores. Hades represents the inevitability of death. You can't escape it. You can't bargain with it. The underworld is a bureaucracy, and your file is already open. He's not evil. He's just the final stop on a train that leaves whether you're ready or not. Anubis represents the fairness of death. Your heart on the scale. Your actions, nothing else. Death doesn't care about your money, your titles, your excuses. All that matters is what you actually did. It's harsh, it's absolute, and in its own way, it's the most comforting vision of death there is, because it means everyone gets exactly what they deserve.
The scores. Hell represents the indignity of death. The cold, the discomfort, the slow decay. Not every death is glorious. Not every death is heroic. Most people die in bed, sick, old, forgotten, and Hel is the goddess who takes them in anyway. She's the patron of the unremarkable dead, the billions who didn't die in battle, the ones history forgot. And she doesn't reject them. She houses them. She feeds them, even if the food's not great.
So, who ran the underworld best? Anubis, by the numbers. The scale, the feather, the field of reeds. 3,000 years of flawless service. The most skilled, most beloved, most consistently competent death god in human mythology. But maybe, the real answer is that all three of them got one thing right. Death in mythology isn't just about punishment. It's about order. Someone has to handle the dead. Someone has to run the system. Someone has to sit in the dark, in the cold, in the silence, and keep the gates, weigh the hearts, and make sure the dead stay dead.
And these three, they showed up for work every single day for eternity. If you enjoyed this, subscribe, because next week we're answering a question that has haunted humanity since the first storyteller looked at the sky and asked, where did the gods come from? Creation myths, 5 civilizations, one origin of everything. See you then.